Right, hi, I'm Matt Galvin, and this is Press Pause. I'm your host, and I'm with
David Goldberg, your co-host.
And we have a special guest, our good friend,
Cris Mertens.
What Press Pause is we're basically a new gaming channel. We talk about video games, we talk about movies, most likely geek culture. This show that you're watching right now is called Press Pause Roundtable, where we're going to talk about the top 5 news stories in gaming, plus what we've been playing, and then plus we're gonna have a little discussion at the end. This is episode 1, so we appreciate any fan feedback or just feedback in general from anyone, even if you're not a fan, and what you want to see from this show. Whether you like different segments, whether you didn't, we appreciate any comments or any likes below. We also, launching with this episode 1, are doing a Patreon, so if you really dig it, probably not after episode 1, but like, if you really dig it, you can give us some money in per video or get cash and stuff like that. Anything else you want to add?
Throw in your wallets at you.
Yeah, just throw cash at us.
Just take your parents' credit card, give us beer money.
If you're young, yeah, give us
your credit card.
Either one, yeah, either or. I think that's it. Anything else you want to say about the channel?
No, I'm excited. Let's start talking about games.
The first segment that you're watching right now is the top biggest news stories that we deemed in the last week the biggest. So the first one is, a lot of you guys might have been playing this, we've been playing it, is Unknown Player Battlegrounds sells 1 million units.
What was that
title? Unknown Player Battlegrounds. It's this dumb title. So if you don't know what this is, it's like a basically like battle royale game, kind of like Arma.
It's mayhem.
It's
absolute
just
mayhem.
Craziness. You're dropped on a helicopter with 100 people on an island.
Cargo plane.
Cargo plane.
And you will die fast.
And you die fast.
Everyone's basically in their underwear, and then they fly out of this plane, or limited clothing, and then you've got to fucking dash towards every house, anything that you can get your hands on, frying pans, machetes, assault rifles, pistols, and just go at each other as fast as possible. And there's a counter in the top right. Starts out at 100 and it just works its way down. 78 alive, 64 alive, 32 alive, and you just know that number's getting worse and worse. It's terrifying.
Yeah, there's not a lot of games, especially like on console, so if you're just a console player, you might not have experienced this besides like Battlefield, like what's the dice game? The new one,
Battlefield 1?
Battlefield 1 has 60 players, but this is 100 players every time.
Every time.
It's basically the Hunger Games, the video game, where you're just on this island and you either have a frying pan or a guy has like an AK, and it's like...
It should be known the frying pan can deflect bullets now, which is super awesome.
It's true.
I did not
So someone's coming at your shotgun, you just swing it and deflect and then beat them to death.
Yeah, but then, David, you've played it a couple times. You dig it?
I've played it a couple times. I'm a fan. We made it. I never beat it, but I got to number 2.
I got to number 2 as well.
Yeah.
I've never beat it.
Never hit 1.
The winner chicken dinner.
I've gotten it once. One time. Woo. I like hung out in like a small corner and just hid the entire time, and then I lucked out. It's basically camping the game is what it is. Yeah.
It should be known that it's early access right now for $30.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a final product in about 6 months, so you can pay full price and just wait, or you can play it now, or it's a little buggy, but they're doing a great job with patches and stuff.
I've played a lot of early access games on Steam where it's like they don't constantly update this quickly. Like they've been really good on support. It's crazy like how fast they listen to the feedback of what fans say, like this gun's overpowered or this scope, and like each week they've been coming out with new content. I actually have, this is not the current patch that's coming out on the 27th. We're getting another patch, but this last patch added a new Vector SMG, a 2x scope, a motorbike with a sidecar, and it added a crossbow.
The sidecar still has terrible physics. If you go over the smallest thing, your car will, or the sidecar and the motorcycle will just flip into the end and you'll die.
The physics in the game are a little
janky.
A little janky. Yeah, it's like if you're driving a car and like you do 50 flips, but it's again early access on Steam. It's like once they finalize all this stuff, hopefully it'll be like smooth sailing. But I haven't had like this much fun in multiplayer
in a long time. I would highly recommend it. It's definitely worth $30. That's for sure.
It's fun to watch the game even.
Yeah. It's one of the big ones on Twitch.
It's like one of the highest ones on Twitch. It went past League of Legends like for a day or 2 days, something like that.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's like blowing up.
You do need a Steam account. You do need a PC. This is a PC only game. Eventually it should come to consoles once they finalize it. But yeah, for right now, it's like you need a kind of beefy machine, at least a 970, I would say, to like enjoy it, because it's not optimized, so it's like you're going to be struggling just to.
And that's getting better every week. But right now, you have a 970, I have a 970. What do you have?
I don't have a gaming.
You kind of have a gaming
Okay,
PC.
you're off the show. You're off the show.
Yeah.
I'm done. Let me go buy a new one.
With 970s, we're like in the anywhere between 30 frames to like 70, and it just kind of wildly varies. And I don't mean like when you're indoors it's 70, when you're outside it's 30. It's like sometimes I'm outdoors and it's fucking 70. And then you go inside and it chunks. It's just like optimizing is just all over the map.
Yeah, Digital Foundry would have like a field day with this game. Like the spikes is like
It would get an F right now.
Yeah,
But
but
fun factor, a 10.
Yeah.
early access.
I've been a PC gamer most of my life, and I've recently gotten back into console gaming. So
You don't have to put a lot of money into it. I mean, that's the good thing is like 400 out of the box. It's like you got a system that's like relatively like a low end PC game. So no one blames you. It's all good. But like now that you're getting like back into it, now that we got the show, he's probably gonna have to update his shit. Yeah. All right. So the second biggest news story of the last week is this is not really news because it was leaked for the longest time, but the next Call of Duty is World War II. They're going back.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Some people are really excited about that.
I mean, M1 Garand, you can't go wrong with that gun, so...
Yeah.
Ping, ping.
The leaked release date is November 3rd.
This year?
Yeah, this year.
What?
Yeah. They pump out a Call of Duty. You know this, like every year. Come on.
All right.
Every year there's a new Call of
I
Duty.
didn't know about that release.
Yeah, it's crazy. The game, this is cool. The game will reportedly be set in Normandy on D-Day.
Okay.
And the coolest thing to me, because I'm not a huge like COD multiplayer gamer.
Me neither.
But the campaign and the single player will have different stories. So if like we co-op the game, it has its own campaign. Yeah, its own story. And then if you play it single player, it's got its own, which is cool.
I wonder how different. Like,
I don't know.
kind of different?
Or I think
vastly different.
I think it's supposedly the rumor. This is a rumor, but we'll find out very soon. Tomorrow, actually, after this airs, they're going to do the first live gameplay thing, I think, on their Twitch channel. Nice. Activision is, so you can actually find out a lot more details about the game. But this leaked, and this is pretty much confirmed because it's like GameStop leaks. It's not like, you know, random Reddit post, you know, guy like making stuff up. This is actually like legitimately they showed these, you know, bullet points on like a box art. So it's like campaign and co-op have different story. We know that it's World War II. That's official. Some screenshots. Graphics look pretty good.
Zombies?
They're probably gonna do zombies.
What do you guys think about them going back to World War II? Are we running out of ideas?
What's the last one you played, David? Even
Advanced Warfare.
Black
Ops.
Okay.
3.
So I played it, but piggybacking on your comment, I'm wondering, will you be able to start off as a certain nationality, or is it just?
You mean like, do you get to be a Nazi? Is that what you're asking?
Well, not a Nazi. Do you get to be on like the Canadian Suicide Squad?
There's definitely be a point where you can pay your respects at some point. Hold X to
pay your respects for reals.
But on D-Day, so it's just thousands of bodies, and you're just hitting X everywhere, trying to.
Yeah, this one is made by Sledgehammer. So it used to be, they did Treyarch and Infinite. What was the other one? Infinity Ward was the two studios. But now Sledgehammer has taken over, and Infinity Ward, most of them are like, it's kind of a skeleton crew, and they went on to make Titanfall and stuff, and they split and stuff like that. So this one... Respawn, yeah. Most of the guys went to make, Respawn formed that stuff, but a rival company, EA.
Yep.
But I'm kind of, I don't know, like, I'm not a big COD fan, but, like, I'm kind of excited for them to do, like, a back to basics, like, World War II, like, I don't know, that sounds cool to me. Like, Battlefield 1 did it, and it worked for them.
They found a really good, like, art style and, like, a tone in Battlefield 1 that I think worked really, really well. If this Call of Duty manages to capture kind of that somber, like, Dunkirk feel, I think people are going to flock to it. I will also be flocking to that. If it's a fast-paced, typical Call of Duty shooter that feels very, like, lack of attention span, just twitch shooting, I'm not going to be that excited.
Call of Duty, the kind of realistic nature always brought me liking that game more than Halo. I was never a big Halo fan. I loved that Call of Duty you could die in 1 to 3
shots,
hits, versus Halo it's like you've got this freaking shield where you just can't die for minutes at a time.
Yeah.
So
for me, I'm like the opposite. I like the older Call of Duties, and I definitely liked Black Ops 2, but I've never been like a big COD fan. And then it kind of got to the point where I felt like they were just milking it, where it's just like everyone feels like the same. If you played one campaign, you played the multiplayer, it's like the same thing.
Things are exploding.
Right, yeah. Run. And then like someone picks you up or you're dragged.
Slow motion, headshot.
Yeah, same shit over and over.
It's not that they're not fun, it's just...
Yeah, it's the same
right.
shit. Yeah, I mean, like, it's like they always have like really cool set pieces in the. No one, to be honest, I'm like a weird minority COD player because most people play it just for the multiplayer. They don't even play the campaigns. You know, they're just like whatever, and they go straight into like trying to make those streaks or whatever.
The launch trailer comes out, it's always set to Eminem for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
So like but this last one, I kind of liked that COD was getting weird. Like it got into the Advanced Warfare was like. Kind of in the future with Troy Baker, right? And then and then this last one was like pure.
Underwood.
Yeah, and Frank Underwood was the bad guy. And this last one was like pure sci-fi, and you kind of dug it though, right? Because that was like you liked this one because it was like Battlestar Galactica.
It was very Battlestar Galactica with the Raptors and just the flying. I was surprised they went really above and beyond for like the space fighting. I will admit it happened a little too often.
Yeah.
But I just love being on the deck in the CQC, I think it's called, the war room.
Yeah.
You're going over maps and plans. They're like, all right, plan of attack is blah, blah, blah. Then you go down an elevator and people are talking to you. Guys are running by. Lights are flashing. Things are fucking blowing up outside. You get in your thing, turn, fly out. You're in space. You're shooting to come back in, rinse, repeat. Like, no loading. I just loved that. And then going down to planets and like coming back up.
Yeah.
I thought they did a very good job at a technical level, and some of the art direction was really cool too.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad game. It just kind of, again, to me, felt like
Terrible villain.
Terrible villain.
Terrible
like
villain.
Jon Snow.
Yeah. With the guy that looks like he's on the verge of crying at any moment.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be scary.
No, he's supposed to be scary, and he gets in your face, and it's like a puppy dog yelling at you. You know, it's just like, oh, Jon Snow.
Not very threatening.
He's like, I love Game of Thrones. Don't get me wrong, but just miscast as like a villain in this game was just like terrible.
But it's cute
choice.
that he thinks he can be evil.
I mean, he probably didn't care. He's like, what is this? Yeah, okay. What's the price
How
you're gonna pay
much?
me? How much?
Isn't he supposed to be like the most evil? Like,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
who do you think should be this World War II one? Do you think they're gonna do like a celebrity villain? Like, who would be the celebrity villain that they should get then?
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris?
Let's go.
Well, yeah, that's not a bad choice.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go William Dafoe. William Dafoe, like
He'll get a little crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta reel him in a little bit. He can
but
get
maybe you want
bananas.
that over top.
Maybe,
like,
or you could just go with Nicolas Cage and cut to the chase.
that'd be great, Nicolas Cage in COD.
It would be the best-selling video game of all
Everyone
time.
would love it.
Because, wind talkers.
The bees! And he's like doing the same
Yeah.
mocap, and they're like, just use that from the Wicker Man. So the next bit of news, the story number 3, is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. This is the sequel to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the fighting game. So for those of you not familiar with this, Marvel vs. Capcom is like an old 2D like fighter where they took Capcom characters, pitted them against Marvel characters. Then they did another one. Again, this is like...
I feel like there's 1,000 of these.
There's not. There's really not, surprisingly. But there's been so many releases of it and stuff. It feels like that. But they're only at 4. Where you look at like most games...
Wait, but are you
some
still
series,
talking about arcades too? Because I feel like...
Yeah, no, but I'm saying they're only at version 4 of this thing. They've had different games, but this is the 4th one in this series. So it's not a lot comparatively to like... Call of Duty and stuff. But they've released it so many times that it feels like we've been doing this. Anyways, with this latest one, it's a little bit messy because Marvel, which now was bought by Disney, doesn't own the rights to all their characters, and they don't want to. I know, so they don't want to feature all of them. They own the rights, but it's like because Fox still controls X-Men, and then Sony controls Spider-Man. They really want to focus on their characters only, so they try not to bring to the forefront the X-Men characters. Another, Fantastic Four, for example, is another Fox franchise. Super bizarre, but these deals were made pre-Disney, pre-owning Marvel. So anyways, the character roster is kind of bizarre because they can't feature some of the fan favorites like Wolverine or like, the Fantastic Four. Right.
I want to fight with Logan.
Right. As Hugh Jackman, like old
in the dirty suit.
In the old one, He drives up in his limo and gets out. Yeah.
Well, that's the power move. The limo comes in and like runs them over. And they flip over.
No, I want him to just stumble out, barf, and then you fight.
Yeah.
And then his combo is like the little girl, X-23, right?
Oh,
She just comes
and
in.
then the loading screen is carrying Professor Xavier to like pee in a toilet.
No, or his dead body, you dump him. Spoilers, sorry.
Yeah. So who can you play as?
Professor X as a weapon.
So these are the. So they came out with this. They came out with a story trailer. These are the ones that are confirmed now. So we got Ultron, who's like the villain from that terrible Avengers 2 sequel. Hulk, Thor, Hawkeye, Rocket Raccoon, which is an interesting fighter because he's so small. On the Capcom side, we got Chun-Li, Strider, Cris Redfield. These were the new ones announced today.
Right.
Previously, they had announced, we had on the Marvel side, we had Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Iron Man. Of course, you gotta have Iron Man.
Does Captain America just look like Chris Evans, or is it just a generic white guy?
They're all very, the art style, like, if you watch this trailer, I recommend watching this.
Is he wearing the mask? I haven't.
They're not, I don't like the art style at all. It's like, it's really bizarre. It's very cartoony. None of them look like the movie counterparts. Yeah, and then it will be interesting to see because, like, Injustice, which also releases, like, next month, Injustice, the last game, we don't know about this one, Injustice 2. The last one lets you do costumes from movies and stuff, which was pretty cool. So if you liked Arrow, the CW show, they actually had DLC where you could play as the guy, you know, the Arrow show. And, like, same thing with, like, different characters. Like, if you liked Batman from a different era, like, you could play that, different art style and stuff like that. We don't know.
Could you play as 1950s, like, underwear spandex Batman?
They had some weird, I don't remember all the costume, but you definitely could play as
carrying
some
a
weird,
bomb.
Some weird, not that one, yeah, that would have been great though, yeah, the Adam West one, but they didn't do that one. Surprisingly, in the Arkham games, they did do that one.
Yes,
you
they
could
did,
play as the Adam West one.
But it still looked cool because the guy's ultra
He's all
cut.
buff?
Yeah, so it was like weirdly,
yeah.
totally fine. I thought,
I was, that last game, Arkham Knight, I was so happy they did the Nolan suit because I love the Nolan movies, so it's like, The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Okay, Dark Knight.
Yeah, the Dark Knight.
Because his suit changed from 2 to 3.
It changed from 1 to 2.
Because he couldn't move his neck. And
Right.
Like, I can't move my neck.
Begins to the Dark Knight. It changed, and then but the Rises and the Dark Knight. It's pretty much the same suit. It's different a little, but no one can tell.
Yeah.
Back to the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, like. It's interesting because it's like, the art's not there. It's kind of like the same as I don't know if you saw Street Fighter V, where it's like their weird kind of cartoon, like, graphics and look. Have you played that one? That's the last Street Fighter.
I haven't played Street Fighter. I'm not a big fighting guy. The only fighting game for me would have been Melee.
Melee?
Yeah,
so, like, Smash Brothers? Which one?
Brothers.
64? Cube? Cube. That's a good one.
The classic.
All right, so the next story we got, and this is kind of crazy, Chris brought this up to us, is I didn't even see this. I didn't hear about it because not a lot of people talk Resident Evil 7. Once it was released, I feel like it was big hype and it was a good game, but, like, once it kind of came out, like, no one's been, died. No one's been talking about it. And so they had announced this free DLC.
The screen came up when you beat the game.
Yeah.
It shows up and it's like, coming soon. And I was like, let's go.
Yeah, and you were hyped.
I was hyped.
Yeah.
And the thing is Chris Redfield and he's screaming and he's got a machine gun and he's...
Spoilers again, sorry, but it's not really a spoiler because it's like Chris Redfield, you knew he was probably in the game.
And he's in a Resident Evil game? Oh no!
Question mark. Yeah. But at the end of the game, it's like basically you see Chris Redfield, who's one of the only... He is the only returning character from the other ones. They mention other stuff, but like the only one you actually see in RE, this new RE, was Chris.
Yeah.
And it's the very end, and then you get that screen, and it's called I'm Not a Hero or something?
Not a Hero.
Not a Hero. Yeah. And so anyways, this was supposed to be free, but this is what happened is the game's director did this weird kind of like apology video.
Well, it's like the classic Japanese studio apology video where it's a bunch of people and they're all... they're bowing. They're so sorry and they're so full of shame that they're not making their deadline. It's super cute.
They basically just said it's like the quality, it's not the high quality of the main game, so we need more development time. We're really sorry. And this is like a 3-minute apology, which is crazy to me. Which is like, I would have just taken like, hey, sorry, we need more time to work on this DLC. Here's a screenshot. I'd be like, cool. But it's like this 3-minute, like just him sitting there like, I have shamed like my thing.
Whenever people come out and they say, hey, we need a little more time, this has got to be in the oven a little bit longer, I'm okay with that because I want to be able to play something that's better. The only thing that kind of sucks is who still has their copy, because I traded that in when I beat it.
Right.
It was so long ago, so I don't even have the game anymore.
Right.
So I'm gonna miss out on this DLC.
If it's good. If it's good.
And I'll give it a break. It takes a long time to make games now versus back in the
of course
10 years ago. There's been a lot more
the
advanced.
teams are huge now versus when they were tiny.
Yeah, it depends really too. Like a lot of people don't know this, but like a lot of time after the main game's done, it's like sometimes they outsource the DLC or like a skeleton crew works on the DLC. It really depends on the studio and who it is. You know, like with the COD games, for example, like that's really interesting. Is a lot of the map packs and DLC is made by Raven Games, which is like a completely different, company that used to make like the old Wolfenstein games. Activision bought them, and now they just primarily use them to make like map packs and stuff. For Destiny, the next one, Destiny 2, for example,
Whoop, whoop. Yeah.
are excited about it. Is they're doing High Moon is going to be another studio that used to make their own games, and now pretty much Activision just again consume them, their souls, and now they just make map packs and DLC for Destiny 2.
Your soul is mine.
Your soul.
Your soul.
Are you close to beating that now, Ari?
RE7? No.
Where are you at?
I went to fight the second boss. I loved the first boss. I loved fighting Jack. That was like one of my way up there with boss fights.
Yeah, it was a good fight. He's pretty scary too.
And it took a minute to figure out how to beat him.
For reference, that's the garage fight. No spoilers, but it's the thing you might have seen in some of the trailers with the car fishtailing around. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't tell you how to beat him. You have the internet for that. I realized I don't have nearly enough ammo, and I don't have a grenade launcher, so I need to go back to the
Gotta go back to the house, man, use the key. Yeah, that game's really about like backtracking and then using keys that you've gotten before to get more loot and ammo.
Very Tomb Raidery. Like, oh, I don't have this tool, I gotta come back later.
And explore everything too, like especially that place with where you have the RV around that place is just
crazy with stuff.
Crazy with stuff. Yeah. Look around. And finally, so this is kind of bizarre.
I don't know anything about this.
Well, here we go.
I don't even know what this is. I watched the trailer and I still didn't. I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm looking at.
I don't blame you. Not a lot of people know this unless you're really old. So Night Trap is getting...
Are you really old?
I'm pretty old. I'm not going to say online how old I am, but it's close to 55.
Okay.
Night Trap is getting a release on PS4. This is the infamously bad full-motion video game from 1992. It was released on Sega CD, so not a lot of people are going to know what this is.
Sega CD.
But, so what this was is, it was very controversial because it's like a B horror movie that you interact with, and it's very cheesy, but it kind of has some themes of sex. And in the 90s, this is like when a lot of people were like anti-Mortal Kombat. We had that one guy who was in the government, I forget his name, Jack something. He was like going hard against violence in video games, and this was one of the big games that they were like, this game has sex and like it's, you know, it's corrupting the youth's brains and stuff like that. So Sega,
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Sex.
The stuff you can do in the latest Grand Theft Auto is, this is literally now, it's so funny, this game is now rated like PG-13. It's not even an M game anymore. But at the time, it was very controversial that Sega actually pulled it. So it's very hard to find because they only released it for a limited time and then they took it off the market because it was so controversial. Anyway, it's not a great game, and it's very bad, but...
Is it like a quantum... Is it Quantum Dream, that company, and it's like you choose, like, it's run in the alley or go in the car, or...
It's like that, left, but, right. Like, you don't control anything. It's literally like
You're just watching a movie.
You're watching a movie,
and
then...
you pick something, and it cuts to another clip.
Right, exactly. That is it. Yeah. That is it. You literally pick something, and it plays another clip, and it's basically just an FMV. But it's funny because they're releasing it now in 2017. Oh. And it's, you know, this
for
is...
For a quarter.
25...
For a quarter.
25 years later.
Oh.
And, like, also, the game has 3 different covers, which are the different regions of the Sega CD cover that they made. Yeah. So, this is such a weird niche thing, and the people that are releasing it, they're limited run games. Of course they are. And they've done like a lot of special releases.
Very accurate name.
Yeah. They've done like, they mostly take indie games like, what was that, Gungan Hero, that one that was a shooter that was just on PS4. It's like this 2D game. Anyway, they take games that are mostly digital, and then they do physical releases for them in a limited print, and then they sell those. And this is going to be in the same thing. So you're not going to be able to find this like, you know, at GameStop. Maybe you will, but yeah, it's a limited release. So if you want the physical copy of this, it's going to be a little bit harder to get, but then you'll still be able to get it at the PSN store. If for some reason you love terrible B movies
from the 90s.
From the 90s.
Do they have like a slogan? Like limited run games is straight to the point, but is there something fun about them, or
fun about the game or fun about the publisher?
Fun about the publisher.
I mean, I think the publisher's
Like,
cool. They're
do
doing.
they have a Mondo cover, or like are they doing something cool with it, or they're
mean,
just
like-
like here's this old thing
this old
from
game.
a long
Well,
time ago.
they're making it playable. So
They
it's
can't
like
update the textures, so
the video. I mean, like if you watch the trailer, they've clearly taken the video and up-resed it. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you played it on Sega CD, which I never did, but I've watched videos of it.
But you're
it's-
55, so you
Yeah,
would've.
I would have
missed that opportunity.
I missed the opportunity. I was way too old for it even then. But it's pixelated. You know, the video quality back in the day, the codecs that they used to use were very limited.
Yeah.
So like you still had pixels. This
It was
is
just
like
the one codec. There was just the one.
yeah, there's just the one codec. I think in video games there's still just one
the
codec.
one.
That
Bic.
one?
It's a Bic.
Bic. Yeah, Bic is the one that comes up. It's the
Yeah.
only video codec. This is getting so nerdy. No one's knowing what we're talking about. But that's okay.
And,
It's just-
and Havoc Physics.
yeah, Havoc Physics
Forever.
and Bic Video
Yeah.
Codec. They're making a mint on video games.
Yeah.
That Bic company. Like what? Like they
I think
can't.
it's Bink with an N.
Bink. It is Bink. We're saying
Oh.
Bic like a pen or
Yeah.
something.
Anyway, this is
Click your
fascinating,
Bic.
right?
This is super good. I think this is good content. So yeah, no, these guys. I think it's cool that they take stuff that like for a niche audience and like so that's you're saying like what's fun about them. I think that they take games that people want, and it's very hard to find. Like originally to find this
Right.
game, you'd have to
Look
track
in a
down,
dumpster.
look in a dumpster, or like dig it up like
Yeah.
the Atari like
Yeah.
ET games.
Yeah. In the
Local
landfill.
Goodwill.
In the
Goodwill's
Goodwills?
actually has some
Goodwill?
good spots. Or eBay, you can pay 100%, 200% increase or more.
That's what I'm saying. You'd have to buy a Sega CD. You'd have to locate this game. I'm sure the copy like is probably really expensive. We're talking like 80, 90. I have no idea. Maybe it's only $1. Who knows? Some games are very limited. It's kind of shitty if you think about it because it's like the people that are buying those like retro games are really collectors or people that are too noble to do ROMs or steal. You know, because you can find any of these games
Yeah.
for free
Sure.
Or like an
online.
emulator.
On an
Right.
emulator
Yeah.
for free in an instant. But if you want to be like authentic or like not steal,
Yeah.
then it's like you're gonna have to, put out a lot to
Yeah.
get that
No,
game.
I'm not a retro gamer at all, but if I could go back, I would love to play Streets of Rage 2?
On like the NES or what? Or Super NES?
Whatever it was on. I think it was... Yeah, I don't know what it was on. I can't remember. Sega,
What's the first system you had?
Sega Genesis.
Genesis?
I think it was on the Genesis, and I had the girl that does the backflip kicks and like the skater kid. And
Yeah.
it was that side-scrolling brawling game. It was amazing.
So that's pretty much all the news. Again,
That's the news.
give us a comment on anything that you guys liked or thought about that you want to see like going forward, or if there's any big stories, leave a comment below and we can maybe discuss them next time, or anything we missed that you guys were like, why didn't you talk about this? Why didn't you mention the Overwatch maps that are
Or if
coming
you want
out?
us to talk about Night Trap longer,
I'd
then
be down
leave a
to play
comment.
Night Trap. We could get into that.
Yeah, maybe David will do a
Like,
let's play.
yeah, let's play it.
There we
Night
go.
Trap.
Of Night Trap. That's going to be exciting. All right, so we're going to
Break.
break. So welcome back to
back.
Press
Welcome
Pause discussion and no roundtable, not discussion. Roundtable. Yeah.
Starting over, and we're back.
It's a discussion. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But basically, this next segment is called "What You've Been Playing." It's very simple. We just talk about what we've been playing, a game or two,
Yeah.
and we'll start with our guest.
Thank you.
So, what have you been playing lately?
I have been killing people with a frying pan in Battlegrounds, and that game, like we already discussed, is incredibly intense. I always make it to like the final 15, and I can't win. But I'm playing a lot of that. It's very, very fun. Also frustrating. Equally frustrating and equally fun.
We play with our friend Devin and Moses,
Yeah.
and
Devin's pretty beastly.
he's
very good.
Yeah,
He's getting like 15 kills a game.
he plays a lot though.
I kill,
he
like,
plays
2
a
people a
lot.
game.
Yeah.
And those 2 people I kill are like firefights to the death, like where I'm so nervous and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like my gun is just going off and I don't know what I'm hitting. And
Have you succeeded in using the frying pan?
no, I saw
I've
I
hit,
saw
I've
a
hit
video.
one guy. I've killed one guy with a frying pan.
I chased
Yeah.
a guy with a frying pan, but no hitting.
Yeah, you can only do teams of 4. You can either do duos by yourself, solo,
duo, or squad.
A squad, and the squad is most is 4. So it's all these teams, and when you play squads, it's all these teams of 4. So you know if you find like one guy and you shoot him, his buddies are around.
Which
like,
happened to you and me in the house the other night,
all the
where it was
time.
just the 2 of us and we knew a squad of 4 was coming and we were totally gonna be
screwed. Yeah. So we already discussed this a little, but like it's really funny because you start on a plane, you're going over the island, and then we always discuss. We're always like, where do you want to jump? Where do you want to go? And then sometimes you get lucky. It's super random because it randomizes the direction of the the plane where it's coming out of the island. And then, like, we'll be like, Chris, what do you think? He's like, I haven't seen this power plant. So we're jumped there.
We haven't been here. But then you spin the camera around because the game has free look, which is something they stole from,
then you're like,
Arma.
oh, all those other guys are coming.
Yeah, and you see, like, 9 guys all free-falling next to you, and you're like, oh, shit.
And 9 times out of 10, those guys are way better than you, too. So you're going to get fucked, like, real quick. It's like, it's so intense when you first drop down in a building, and there's just 6 other guys there, and you're just like, you're all scrambling and running around to get the hospital is where we go.
It should be mentioned, this game is both third person and first person, and you can swap between the 2 views at will.
Yeah.
Third person is great for switching over the shoulder to be able to see around corners and stuff, but then when you engage in a firefight at a distance, snap into those iron sights and go to town.
Yeah. It's really cool. And then what they're gonna do, they've been talking about this, is different servers, once they, again, finalize the game, they will allow them to set different things. So there will be a server that is first person only, which is kind of crazy.
That'll be awesome.
The coolest thing about the latest patch, so it's funny because the graphical settings changed the grass.
Yep.
So it used to be like, if you have like a really good system, like a 1080 or something, you'd have the grass on ultra, but it actually is a disadvantage because
harder.
Because people hide in the grass.
So everyone has their grass set to very low, even if they have beastly rigs.
Yeah, so you can see people.
On your screen, you're crawling through this dense grass. You're like, oh yeah, and then it cuts to the other person, and you're just crawling on desert floor.
You're an idiot. Yeah. So now what they just did in the last patch, which is freaking fantastic, is everyone has the same foliage. It doesn't matter if you set it to low or high. It's like everyone has the same thing, which is really good because that was so cheap. But no, that game is really fun.
If you're interested in checking out kind of what the game's all about and how fun it can be, check out the highlight videos that the company makes. I don't know if you guys have seen these. They're the Battlegrounds highlights. They do one every single week, and they're hilarious. They're set to really funny montagey music, and it's just streamers having crazy things happen where like physics are nuts or like awesome sniping, a combo of like skill, comedy,
and jankiness.
It's all in there.
It's all in there.
Watch one of those, and you'll immediately know what the game's about.
Yeah, there's a lot of them where it's like I literally saw like that. They'll shoot a car, and the car will explode, and they'll kill like 4 people and stuff. And like the Twitch streamers, their reactions sometimes are just like, it makes it even better. They're just like, oh, I can't believe I did that.
The other game I'm playing is Mass Effect Andromeda, which I have very mixed feelings on. Matt's already beaten it, and your kind of gauge on it was kind of negative.
I feel like most people, like the internet, like the initial reception,
the animations
was like animations. It's garbage. And it is a mess. There's no debate that it's a missed opportunity. But I didn't hate it. Like, it's still Mass Effect. There are things there that I really like about it.
Yeah.
But then it's definitely my least favorite Mass Effect out of all of them.
Yeah, I'm reserving that judgment until I beat it. Right now, the positives for me for the game are kind of the gameplay, like the gunplay.
Gunplay is the best.
It's the best out of any Mass Effect because you're zipping around. You get a booster pack on your like a jetpack or whatever. Very fast, dynamic combat. A lot of the people ignored the crafting system, but I'm actually finding if you can get over the obnoxious kind of like overcomplicated menus and really play with the crafting, and it is very expensive to make stuff. So the game doesn't do you any favors in the crafting department. It's almost like they don't want you to craft stuff. But if you can get past all of that stuff, I was just telling you guys earlier, I made this gun that is just a death ray gun that just melts people because I'm kind of hacking the game where I'm combining a few elements and tech skills that all complement each other to allow the gun to never have to reload, do crazy amounts of damage, and never stop firing and never stop killing. And so that kind of stuff is really fun, and that's kind of the bonuses for the gameplay. Other than that, story-wise, I'm not really feeling it. There's not a lot of characters that I care about that much.
Yeah.
I think I just landed on Eladin, so.
Which planet is that? Remind me. The ice.
It's the one where
Avatar planet.
No, that's Havarl. Eladin is the one where if you're in the sun, your thing is like burning, and then you have to go in the shadows.
Krogan
are there.
Okay.
On that planet. Yeah. So I think the next one's Habitat 7, and then after that, one more planet. So I think I only have 2 more planets to go to. But I feel like I'm getting towards the middle point of the game. The story's picking up a little, but anyway, I'm very lukewarm on the game.
Yeah. So my feelings about that whole thing is like, the squad kind of grows on you. Like, I don't think they're as good again as any of the older games, but the main story is very kind of generic and just not very interesting. And it's like weird because it's like it's put on hold so many times that you're just mostly trying to like be
the pacing is weird.
Yeah, no, be a pathfinder and find places to like put your people, but then you don't really care about the, what are they, the keg, right? No, the ket. The keg. The ket. I'm sorry, like I really, this shows how much I love. Normally Mass Effect, I'm like, oh, the
lore. The lore.
In this game, I was like, whatever. But like, yeah, so the cat and stuff and their whole story, and again, it's just...
And they already did that story with the Reapers and with the...
Prometheans.
That sounds about...
Prometheus.
Well, that's a movie called
Prometheus.
They're
Prometheans. The original...
Prometheans.
Prometheans,
Is that a thing?
That's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, for Mass
Reapers
Effect
in
1.
Mass Effect or Firefly?
They're in both, yeah. They're in both.
Anyway, they're revisiting a story that we've already done before. That's kind of disappointing. So. Anyway.
So, but like, yeah.
Oh, who was your favorite squad mate? Out of when the game was over.
I like the weird guy with the dick hand. He has a penis.
The dick hand?
Yeah,
what are you saying right now?
Yeah, look at his finger next time you play. Javel. Jawl.
The
one big.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look at his finger next
one
time.
Big one,
so he has one big penis for a finger.
With loose skin.
No loose skin, but he has a dick hand. And once I point this out, you're gonna see it, and he's gonna agree.
All right, but I've talked to him many times. I've never seen the dick hand, but I did see the scene where him and the other guy are wearing armor with their shirts on. It's a very strange scene.
No, but the crew grows on you, and their individual missions, I think, are the best part of that game. So if you do
I feel like half of them are on hold for me. It just says on hold. So I'm like, step 1 of 5.
You got to keep checking back with them every time you visit a planet and do a couple missions. Then you have to go back to your crew and talk to them more. And then, like, again, it's just, that's Mass Effect. It stalls missions until you get farther enough to, like, do that. Same thing with romances and stuff. But their loyalty missions are probably the best parts of the game. So, like, not to spoil all of them, but for an example, is, like, the kind of generic... One of the worst characters in the game is Liam, yeah. He's just, there's nothing interesting. He has no distinct...
Like, I'm a cop. I used to be a cop.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, so, like, what's up? And he's like, I used to be a cop.
Yeah,
you're like, all right, see you later.
He's not good. It's not a good character.
Yeah.
But, like, his story, you end up on this, like, spaceship, and then the gravity keeps getting fucked, so the spaceship twists around. So you're going through the environment as it twists, and there's just no mission in the game that's like that. So it's like, this is my side note.
You can tell that's where their best crafting was for making the game.
My feeling after playing this game, which is going to be super bizarre for a lot of people, is this game, they need to go back to more kind of linear, like, game, instead of open world, because for some reason BioWare is just not good at open world. Like Dragon Age Inquisition and now this game. Just stop doing open world, because they can't do The Witcher, their side quests are shit, and most of the stuff is just filler. And the sections that were smaller and more detailed, I liked those missions better.
You just actually hit on a point that blows my mind when I'm playing Mass Effect, because I don't understand how The Witcher 3 can exist, and then as a developer, you're making shit side content and not acknowledge. You're like, well, The Witcher came out. We've all played it. Our stuff is garbage. Should we release this? Like how can you make shitty stuff? The Witcher 3 changed everything forever. Like,
but
they set this high bar for side content. Have you played Witcher 3?
No, I never.
It's a great RPG.
You are missing out.
Should play
it
that
is
one,
amazing, and it has some of the side quests, like the Bloody Baron. Some of that stuff is better than the main story. It's insanity. And then in other games, they're like, go get me 3 keys from this thing.
Most of the side quests...
Go find this shrub.
Exactly. It's like,
most of the side quests in Mass Effect is scan, like, 10 things, which is awful.
Scan these minerals.
So, like, the missions that are actually, like, story-based and, like, more linear are much more interesting than going to a planet, driving around these barren lands with nothing to do.
Going on.
And then it's just, like...
Six animals.
6 animals, and it's just all the same. I will say, like, there's a couple of cool things also, but again, some people will never play this stuff. So on each one of the things, if you do all the side quests, you get to fight these big bosses.
Yes, I fought four of them.
Oh, you fought the big snake
Yeah.
one thing. Yeah. So I didn't know how many side quests you have to do, but you have to do a certain amount before that happens, and you
You
get
have
to fight
seismic
those.
hammers, and that thing comes out of the
Yeah,
ground.
those are cool. I like those.
I legitimately was like, I don't know how I'm gonna beat. It was so huge, and I had the sense of scale was like very impressive.
great,
I was
yeah.
like, I'm screwed, and I had terrible weapons. Somehow I eked by on that fight.
The unfortunate thing is like they're all the same though.
Yep,
You shoot
they're
the
all the same.
legs, and then and that's a huge
Rinse
problem
repeat.
again in Mass Effect is everything's the same. So even when you go down into those temples with the gravity, and then it's like you have to do these terrible puzzles, and then you have to escape the thing. You have
vaults.
The vaults, yeah. They're awful, and it's like they're just copy and paste. That game would have benefited from just like not being open world and not doing all this repetitive stuff, trying to be like 100 hours, and just like focusing on just like the story content and the story.
What was your final game clock? How long did it take you to beat it? Because
actually-
I'm halfway through, and I feel like if I don't know what my clock is, I haven't even looked, but if it was at 150, I would not be surprised.
Sad note, but like whatever. It's like I recently lost my job, so I've had a lot more time. Like if I had to go to like a normal 9-to-5 job or whatever, I'd still be playing Mass Effect. That game is so fucking long that it's just like I feel like I probably hit like 100 hours on that stuff. But you know, I've had so much time and just off that I've played all day and stuff like that. But I feel like if I would have spread that out like you know, you're working like on a normal job, it's like
Taking forever.
It would take forever. But most of it is not good.
Yeah.
So it's like it sucks because it's like you're just like, oh, this is so frustrating. It's a giant missed opportunity, and like again, going back to what you just recently said is like you play Witcher. How do you release a game like this?
Yeah.
I think that it's like it's just like movies. It's like how do you release crappy movies? Like there's still crappy movies every year.
That's
it's
true.
the same thing as like anything. It's just like it's very hard to do, and you have to have a team. This BioWare is a new BioWare team, and this was their first game. Not a lot of people know that. And for their
It's
first,
a lot of ex-members from
it's a lot of
old-
ex-members, yes, but like for most part, this is the new studio, the new BioWare. This is the first one they put out. The older studio is working on a new IP that they don't talk about. But this game, for the most part, is good, but you could tell they pushed it out too soon, which was really funny because before it was released, EA was like, if Mass Effect needs more time, we'll delay it. Like, and then they didn't. It came out, and like the eyes are all weird, the animation,
half-baked, broken. You know they were working on that patch while it was released, and they couldn't say anything, and everyone was trashing their game, and they were like, we're fixing it.
And when you play this game, if you haven't played Mass Effect Andromeda yet, it's already a lot better than it was at release. Not only do the eyes and animation look better, but certain missions, like just doing scanning has been like, you could skip it, and it's just already a better game, which is just crazy to me. You know, it's just like, a lot of games, it's like, you could tell when they're just pushed out too soon, and Mass Effect Andromeda was definitely, it needed like another month to cook, and if they would have released it, like, it would have gotten, I think, a little bit better reviews. A lot of the problems, a lot of the problems will still be there, like the open world stuff and janky side quests, you can't stop that, but like, it would have still probably been a lot more, you know, well received and stuff.
So those are the two games that I was playing. How about you guys?
Dave?
I was playing Horizon, and I loved it, man. I called her Aloy because I thought it was funny.
And like past Apocalypse, like not Mad Max, but like way after that, when like nature's kind of taken over.
Right,
it's almost like new cavemen.
So the human race creates a bunch of killer robots, and things go bad, and blah blah blah.
What did you love about it? You just said you loved it. What did you love?
I definitely like the gameplay. Every fight is hard. You can die in every fight.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like even at the start, like it's like even the smallest thing can kill you.
Yeah, but
as you get like super powered, it's like towards the end of the game, it's kind of like one of those games where it's like you're so overpowered by the end, right?
So I was never like super overpowered. I have gone back and played some through the side quests, but after I beat the game. But now I'm starting to get to that point. I'm like level 42, and I'm like, okay, this is getting easy.
So you beat it. Did you beat all the things where you get to control things? Like
I think I did like 3 of the.
I think there's only like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
right?
I think I've got like 1 or 2 more to go.
Are you gonna go back?
You're talking about the tall necks?
No, not the tall necks. The things where you can get to control the guys. The triangle ones. You go in there. What are those things called? Like temples or something.
They're helpful because they power up the spear throughout the game. I don't know if I'm gonna do the tall necks.
I did the tall necks first.
You gotta do them first so you can unlock the map.
The map? You didn't do the tall necks at all?
I skipped the tall. I did a few of them.
You didn't want to climb that beautiful thing? The tall necks are literally the most beautiful
I did it
like
a few
creation
times,
in
and
that
I'm
game.
like, yeah.
Well, I did all the tall necks because, like,
Yeah.
so my whole thing was like, I wanted
followed
all
your advice.
Yeah, I wanted
did
all the map.
of them.
Yeah,
I
do all the
beelined
thing.
it through the map to get to
Yeah,
it.
to get to them. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you have the entire map and you can see all this crap.
You know
It's
where
like, and you
everything
can
is.
choose what to skip, like the
I
cups.
got enough. I got enough the metal flowers. I mean,
The
Yeah, that you can skip. The metal flowers is one of the things
that
you can skip.
cloak are the scariest ones in the game. Are always hard.
Oh
for
yeah,
me.
those guys.
They come
are
up on you
just-
like raptors, where one is like distracting you, and then one comes from the side, like in the movie, and they would always flank me, and I always had a hard time towards the end, until the end when I was super OP.
The dinosaur was difficult. Or no,
Like the T-Rex looking one?
dinosaur. What I liked
The
was
Thunderjaw?
I liked the Terrablast or Terrablast arrows.
Yes, that was my favorite.
Those were amazing because you could just
The one that
shoot
goes
That.
boom.
And then you get the power where you can have 3 arrows at once. So then
Yep.
3 Terror Blast
So that
arrows.
just like
and they
knocks
boom,
off all these
boom.
components,
Yeah.
and even though you don't really need money late game, it weakens the, the dinosaurs or machines won't be able to do some of their attacks.
So like just for like a little
So-
little thing, it kind of plays like it's kind of like the new Tomb Raider mixed with open world. If you have no idea what this game is, and so like if you played the reboot, it's like you use a bow and arrow. You can use different arrow types to attack these robot
Speaking of which,
dinos.
there was one arrow, and I talked to you about this.
The metal
Still
one,
no
yeah.
idea what
Yeah.
it does. It had like gears, and it has
No idea
it
what
has
that one was
gears
good
and
for, yeah.
screws falling off of it. And I used it a couple times, and it did nothing.
It just had a high. Did it have a high tear? That was it, right?
No, there was a high tear one. I don't know what the one he's talking
No,
about is
I-
like the weird computer chip
No,
one.
sorry,
No idea what it was.
I have no idea. I use the hardened arrow sometimes. I use fire arrows a lot.
Yeah, fire
Especially
arrows
just
were
the
great.
flyers.
The flyers
Yeah.
worked great.
I use
against
the
this.
trap lines
a lot.
Oh,
too.
I
time.
love the
all the time.
Yeah,
like,
once I started using the traps and the blast sling is.
the only thing that disappointed me about the traps is that the game, after you make, I think it's 20, they start disappearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so sad because I was at one point in the game I was making this extremely elaborate trap all over the valley, and I realized I just kept going in a loop where it was disappearing around me as I was going. So I was making no progress going in. So I was making
Yeah.
a large trap, and then they all ran out the side, and I was like, "What happened?" And then I noticed they had disappeared.
So I like really like the game, but here's the weird thing about that game is it's just like it didn't do anything that I thought was like, it's just a good game. You know, it's polished, the graphics are great, the art design's great, the combat's fun, but there was nothing like
Solid.
yeah, it's solid.
In game was garbage.
Yeah, but I didn't
mean,
expect an end game on like a campaign single player
Yes.
thing. Like, what did you want from that?
I just wanted some harder boss fights, just some like rare machines that you could.
Well, there was
That
the
were
red maw, right? Did you fight that?
I fought the red.
That was the
Maw,
legendary Thunderjaw.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that guy.
That was the only one.
Did you fight that underwater? What about the drill one? There's a couple of those.
The drill one
ones.
stuck
Yeah.
me a little.
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
That was tough.
The ones that are the one that burrow the snakes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
that's
about,
one.
yeah.
Those are terrifying.
Yeah, once you figure out their patterns, then it's not so bad.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, but it was a solid game. It's just like there was nothing that I was like, okay, this is like new. It just took a bunch of ideas from other things, meshed them, and I was like, it's a great game. But anyone that's like, this is like one of the best games ever, I'm like,
It's very iterative.
yeah. And like, so that to me was a little disappointing. But the graphics are great, and it runs at like I want to say it runs at like 60, right?
30.
30? It looks good though.
It's smooth. It's a Destiny smooth.
Yeah, it's like Destiny smooth. Yeah, it's a smooth game where it's just like they do tricks where it's like they erase what's behind
Yeah,
you,
I
so
saw
it
that. I
loads.
watched that documentary. I watched the whole thing. It's
which
great.
is crazy.
I'd give it a solid like 8.5. Like,
Yeah, no, definitely.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, no, it didn't quite hit the like best of the best games, but it was good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
I
completed
would-
it in 2 sittings.
I would say if you're gonna play it, like the things you could definitely skip. Don't do cups. Don't collect the cups.
do errands.
The Banuk figures.
Banuk
Yeah.
figures you
Yeah.
could skip any of the major collectibles. And the weird thing is the suit, which is actually really fucking useful.
Yep.
You can't get it to
Until the
end
very end, and you can only use it
anyways.
on the last mission.
Right, so it's like one of the last missions. It's the mission before the last one. It has one of the things you need to collect
It's
to get the
this
suit.
suit of armor that's locked in a vault, and you
yeah.
have to keep putting in all these power nodes. Did you get the?
I got one power node. I put it in there, and then I'm like, oh, I need a another one.
Yeah,
You need like 12 or something.
No,
like,
you really. I think you need like
isn't it 1, 2,
5.
3, the first door opens, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, no, it's like 6 or 5.
Yeah.
But it's not a lot. But it's just like it's not worth it. Like I got it, and
It's super cool.
It's super cool. It's like the damage is crazy.
It's a Halo shield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But
Can't
again,
stand
like
it.
it's like
Yeah.
end game, and it's like you have nothing left to do. Just annoying collectathons.
Yeah.
So I would just say skip that stuff. And most of the side quests, like David was saying, is
Not great.
they're not great. They're mostly like, my legs hurt, give me medicine, and then you go there, get medicine,
Yeah.
you come back. All right, you know what's okay? This
Someone
is,
stole my sword.
we're gonna have to move on from Horizon, but the last thing I will say is like the freaking detective mode stuff.
Get rid of it.
Oh my god,
Cut it out.
awful, man. Like when
No
you
one
have
wants that.
it's awful.
You're a freaking
It's not fun.
warrior savior. Yeah, there's the.
You turn it on and you follow a path, and then it's just really slow, and you have to look for stuff in the
Yeah.
grass, and then it's
Who
just
started
like
that? Was it
Batman. I want to say Arkham. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably something before that, but I feel like that's the first.
Screw you, Rocksteady, for making dope games that have a mode that people copy.
They never,
terribly.
and to be honest with even the Rocksteady guys, like that even got annoying. By the time they got to the last Batman game, a lot of people were like,
You
"There's
just
got
spin,
it."
you spin the game in detective
You spend
mode.
the game in detective mode,
And
and
there's no reason to get out of it.
right. So there needed to be like a cooler way to like you could turn it on, and then it's limited, but it still has like not the weird colors or something,
Yeah.
but maybe icons.
Well, just make it kind of like the way Splinter Cell did night vision, where you need to use it when you're in absolute darkness. But if it's just a little too bright in the room, it's blinding. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe,
so then you can't use it all the time.
Go-
because it's too fucking bright.
Go one way or the other.
Or
Either
you-
limit it or just have it where it's like it's like comes on and your screen looks the same, but it just highlights things or something. You know.
One thing I wanted to mention, last thing about Horizon, you told me this and it blew my mind. I didn't realize the voice actress for Aloy was Hey Ash.
Yeah.
What you playing?
Yeah,
From the girl from-
Ashley Birch. Yeah.
Ashley
Oh.
Birch from the web series from a long time ago. I
Oh, wow.
wasn't a huge fan of the web series, but I knew the girl, and I didn't think in a million years. I had no idea she was a voice actress.
Huh.
She did a great job.
She did a great job, and
It
yeah,
doesn't
she,
even sound like her.
she's also she's really good at voice stuff. She also did Tiny Tina
And
in
Borderlands.
Borderlands. Yeah.
very annoying voice.
Very annoying. I won't go too much because like we're definitely going over time. I started Persona. I like it.
I hear it's so good.
If
Everyone's freaking out.
Well, if you like JRPGs, then you like it, but if you don't, then you won't. So it's like, it's very anime, it's very Japanese. You grew up in
Yeah.
Japan, right?
18 years in Japan.
Right, so with Persona, it's like you're a Japanese student and you go to school, but the cool thing about it is it has a calendar where it's like you need to choose what to do with your time.
Yeah.
So if you hang out with your friends, you create different bonds and you get different monsters.
Okay.
So you can literally not finish the game if you don't go to this dungeon, because like your school only certain characters can see your school turn into like this crazy monster dungeon.
Yeah.
And so you have to choose to go in there. But if you choose to go in there when you go to the normal day, which is like a social kind of like, almost like this, I'm not going to say The Sims, but it's like you have to, hang out and do schoolwork and like sleep and do your job
Right.
and like all this stuff.
Right.
And like it's mundane stuff, but it's fun because it's all just variety of like mini games and talking and storylines that you can choose to not do. So the cool thing is like there's a lot of value in it. It's a huge game. It's like 100 hours. And you literally can, choose what you want to do. And it's like you get to these points where it's like, do I want to romance this person or hang out with my buddy and like create this monster? Or like, well, if you stay up in the dungeon, I progress further in the dungeon, but the next day at school I'll be sleeping, So it's
Is it
like
third person?
it's it's third person. Yeah, it's like RPG, so it's like turn
I
based.
don't know why I did this. Is it third person?
Third person?
This?
So I played a little bit of that, but then I got distracted because what happened is I'm a big Destiny player, and like since Rise of Iron, I got the shirt on. Since Rise of Iron, I kind of took a break. There was been no new content. Like a lot of people just kind of like exited.
They
There's
all climbed that mountain.
Yeah,
that
you
was it.
did the
Nope,
raids.
I gave up. I said fuck the mountain.
You said
Yeah.
fuck the mountain?
Nope, I don't
Oh
want-
man, I had to get to the top.
No.
That's a
And then-
sad
and then I got
story.
pushed
I
off.
don't do climbing stuff.
It's sad, dude.
You don't do climbing stuff, but you play video games? You're in the wrong line of work.
So like I got off, and then they came out with this content patch, and this patch, the Age of Triumph, is pretty much the last content patch. Hoorah, yeah, before Destiny 2 comes out in September. All right, so that's segment 2. Went a little bit longer than we thought.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing, but we're going to go on to segment 3, which is discussion right after this. All right, so thank you for staying with us. This is segment 3. Again, this is episode 1. Leave your comments below with what you think we can improve or do differently. This section, we do a discussion each week. We pick one topic, and then we discuss that. Anything that you would like us to talk about, maybe for next episode, episode 2, just leave a comment. And so with this first discussion, this is an interesting one. I picked this one. Next week, I think David's going to pick it. Or you guys can, or if you guys leave a comment, if we have anyone that watches this that leaves a comment.
Someone's like, I have a rash. I don't know if you guys
That's not for this.
I'm not a doctor, but
picture
Yeah.
attached.
I am a therapist.
That's true. He is. One, as you two know from being my friends, I'm super.
Wait, are we friends?
Yeah, we're friends.
Oh.
A lot of people are like, Matt, you're so critical about movies, video games, about everything. But my whole stance is I'm mostly critical of things I'm very passionate about. You know, I care about these things and I want to see them do better, so I'm critical about them. So what happened recently is his name's Shinobi, and he's a poster on NeoGAF, and he posted a thing about that. He was just posting about Mass Effect, and it was all positive. It was just like, I love Mass Effect. Mass Effect's great. This is Andromeda.
About the new game.
The new game.
Yeah.
And then he started posting about Iron Fist, which is the Netflix Marvel show.
Heard it's terrible.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
It's terrible.
And so Mass Effect is mixed, and then Iron Fist is terrible, and he's just been posting positive stuff. And the guy's a nice guy, and everyone's entitled to their opinions.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was drinking a little bit, and so my comment to him was like, you're so not critical. Like, you're so just like, I feel like you're just like, you're too forgiving because you're so positive, you know, about these things that like
that are like this, especially about movies, where they're like, I loved it. I loved it.
But the interesting thing is like, so a lot of people got really mad at me because like he's followed by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's like they commented on me where like, who are you to like say what he can like and not and blah blah blah. And then he posted this long tweet about just like, you know, I want to explain my feelings about Mass Effect and Iron Fist due to this tweet about Matt, who said like, you know, I need to be more critical. I'm not that critical. I like what I like, and I hate people telling me what I can't like. My stance was never to tell him what he can or can't like, but it was an interesting debate about like, have we gotten too critical about, you know, stuff like movies and video games and stuff. You know, I feel we've gotten so critical about like the graphics and like what's the story and we just bash everything. So that's the discussion I thought was interesting, is just like, have we gotten too critical about video games?
I think we should be critical about video games. You know, same thing with movies. They produce garbage movies every year, and they make millions of dollars. Some people will never be into JRPGs or FPS. Like, I'm not an FPS person, but
besides Destiny,
but critically, you know, if you're a seasoned, avid, you know, self-titled gamer, you should be able to review different games and determine, you know, flaws throughout them, even if you really like them. You know, I think you should be critical. You can enjoy a game and still be critical of it. That's what I think a lot of people mistake.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I kind of equate being critical of something with equally how much it's proportionate to how much you care about that thing and how much you obsess over that thing.
Right.
I have a reoccurring issue that has happened many times in my life where I'll go see a movie with some friends, and if I don't like it, I'll come out and start wanting to engage with the people that I went to the movie with, who sometimes will either, you know, they
like
have their own opinion, but usually, you know, come out, and if I happen to not like it, I want to dive into why I didn't like it.
Right.
And it's not a one-sided conversation. I'm just being like, how could you like that blah, 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 and it was so cheap when blah, blah, blah happened.
Yeah.
And people often feel like I'm attacking them, and they'll get defensive, and then sometimes it turns into an argument, and I've gotten in trouble, and I've had to, like, reel myself back. Because I've gotten into, like, a few verbal fights with people over this, and it's only because I care so much about the movies are my passion. They are my career. I'm in the movie business. Like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so I'm not just seeing a movie to take my mind off of work and eat some popcorn and turn my brain off. I'm going into movies because that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so when I get out, I want to... And it's not even... Sometimes I get into fights even when I'm defending the movie, where someone's like, that movie was terrible, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, blah blah, A, B, and the story was amazing, and this was great, and this was great. So the critical question is kind of a weird thing because as gamers, we're being asked to fork over $60 to $100 now with season passes and all this bullshit. And for some people, that's a lot of money to fork over for an investment that may or may not have a value to that person. They are not positive. Like The Division. I bought The Division and the season pass. I spent $100.
The gold edition,
The gold edition. I spent $100. And I feel like I kind of got ripped off.
We definitely got ripped off.
Yeah, I got ripped, not even definitely, or kind of like definitely got ripped off.
No Man's Sky?
Yeah, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
So these are investments that these major companies are asking people to make, and it's kind of a big chunk of change for us. And we're not 100% sure that it's going to be something that's worth that value, right? So intrinsically, there's kind of that wager on our part of it. But on the other side, speaking of Horizon, when I saw the credits for Horizon Zero Dawn roll, they list 14 babies that were had during the 5-year production value.
Into these things,
There is blood, sweat, tears, stress, marriages, divorces, like people who make games, right? We
forget about that. There's a lot of people behind the product,
there are so many people, and so it's very easy for us to kind of sit back and look down our glass. I mean, the textures and the anime. Their eyes look terrible.
Right.
And you don't think about that. Like that's a dad with like 3 kids who worked really hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a weird thing.
I think
they're working their asses off, and games are hard to make. But as consumers, it's our money.
Right.
So those are my 2 things. It's how much you care and how much you want to engage about it, and then it's that balance.
Can we lay blame to anything? Like, can we? Well, I mean, I think it's a very general question.
Obviously, yes. So I think you guys both hit the nail on the head here. Is like I have these long discussions with friends where like, Matt, you're so critical about movies. Movies are my second thing. I'm an editor. That's literally what I do. So like I look at all these things with a pinpoint, like, I'm looking at the editing, I'm looking at the lighting, and some people don't. They go for just they want an experience. They're not going to be as finicky. If they laughed and they enjoyed it, it made them feel good. That is great. But that is probably not something that is your passion then. You see it as like just maybe something that you do every once in a while. Think about something that you like a lot. Like if you like cars or you're a guy that does lifting, whatever. We have a friend named Darren that's like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
If he's
maybe Captain America.
Right.
In disguise.
In disguise. He's huge. So, but like with movies and stuff, he's like, I don't really care. I like movies. I like them. That's fine for him because that's not his passion. That's not his hobby. That's not even what he does. But if you're going to talk to him about workouts, you're going to be like, you need to do this, lift this, take this. He's going to be very
bag of broccoli.
Right. He's going to be very critical about it because that's something he's very passionate about.
Yeah.
So it all depends on like how much you care about it. So when I'm critical on movies or video games, it's not like I hate everything. I feel that like I'm being critical because I want them to be better. What I think gamers and even myself and people with movies could do better though about being critical, because what it means to be critical is you take your own opinions and then you base them off what someone else says, and then you kind of balance those things. You're critical about, like, you listen to different points of view. You go like Chris was saying, he comes out of a movie and he's like, I hated or loved it. Let's talk about this. Yeah. And then sometimes you'll find stuff like your opinion wasn't even right, Like you'd be like, oh shit, like, or something might grow on you.
I've engaged in arguments with friends where I'm very like resolute in how I feel about something, and then they'll reveal like a plot detail that I missed or that went over my head, and it totally changes my view, and I love that stuff. Like that's what I love about. I could talk about movies all day long because of those like happy accidents of like someone else's opinion influences the way I feel about something. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even think about it from that angle or that whatever that lens.
Right.
So
no, exactly. I do think though, like with being critical, and this is something I really need to get better at, just myself, is when I'm critical, I mostly point out the flaws in something. So like with Mass Effect, I'll be like, this sucks, this is bad, Iron Fist,
and then
this
someone
is
will
bad.
Be like, God damn, this guy.
Right, it's all negative. I need to be better at pointing out the positives as well. I feel that like, especially gamers, like, they're just bash something, and they, like you said, they don't look at the people behind the scenes, because there are certain things about Mass Effect that are good. Like the music I thought was good, the character, the companions and their missions were good, but there's a lot wrong with it. So you need to say both sides, and then you need to listen to both sides. And because consumers expect a certain level of quality. Yeah. And I felt like when Mass Effect came out without that 1.5 patch,
it was not acceptable.
Right? No,
Like,
it wasn't
bullshit.
But there is a lot of weird things though, because with video games, music, art, it is very hard to be decisive on something, like to rate something, because it is a lot of it is how it makes you feel. You know, that's how art works. Music is like what you feel, what you got from it. You know. And same thing with video games is like a story could be really good to someone else and then be terrible to you, and it's just how you relate to it. That's a very hard thing to like put a rating on or be critical about. However, there are distinctive things I think you can, even in movies and art. You can be like the technique, the graphics. You can look at things if you know about it and be like, the editing was sloppy here, or the lighting was bad. Even those things you can still debate, but there's definitive things I still feel in these categories that you can be like, this was bad, this acting was bad.
Yeah.
It's still debatable and it's a gray area, but I still think you can, if you know it enough, you can be critical on it.
Another thing that's something that we're actually dealing with now, only in our generation, that kind of influences this criticism is social media.
Yeah.
And how influential like review sites are, Metacritic and just Game Informer, IGN, all the Kotaku, like all the sites will release scores. And so when a game comes out, like for example, who didn't get caught up, who's a fan of Mass Effect, or even just a gamer in general, who didn't get caught up in the memes of Mass Effect Andromeda and pile onto that, right?
All the negativity,
like for example,
Yeah.
if you lived in an like an echo chamber in the ocean, right, and you don't have anyone to talk to, and someone gave you a copy of Andromeda, I bet your score and feelings about that game would be relatively different than how you feel being swamped by, you're going, oh, well, everyone else is, oh, look how shitty that is, oh, and you kind of like hop onto it on this media hype train of how terrible something can be. When Metacritic will be like, hey, this game is in the mid-60s, you're like, okay, well, it's a little, I can talk a little shit about it. That, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of influences us.
The main thing though about being critical and stuff like that, and this drives me fucking insane, is like when people are like, I don't want to be critical on something, but then it's hard to have a conversation to understand why you like something if you just like something. I've talked to a lot of people, and again, it's fine if you just like something. If you enjoy it, great, you know, but if you want to,
you can talk about why
you like it.
Yeah.
Yes. And so like a lot of people are just like, I liked it.
They get defensive and scared.
They get defensive and scared. And it's like, I just want to know what aspects you like.
And they feel like you're attacking them.
And they feel like you're attacking them.
Yeah.
But you're not. You just want to hear their point of view about what they thought was positive, you know? And again, I think there are good things even in bad things. Like we're talking about, there's so many, when you're talking about like all these people that have babies, like again, in Mass Effect, there's different people that made textures. Like the artist, the Photoshop artist that makes the vistas, he's not the one that ruined the game.
Right.
It's mostly the guy that designed the open world missions, you know, like, or that specific game head.
And who chose that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, who chose that?
In a weird way, criticism can also be the thing that drives the competitive nature of the competing game devs, right? So like, I bet your ass BioWare got a gut punch with that stuff.
Yeah.
And the next time they make a game, they're gonna have that in the back of their mind. I mean, I'm surprised they had the bad Mass Effect 3 ending in the back of their minds when they made Andromeda, and I don't know how this happened. So it's maybe it's pointless, but like the criticisms from consumers on a whole can also influence how good things become.
That has always been my stance.
Because if everyone just goes, played it was great.
Right. No,
then the company has no incentive to like.
We're just gonna.
Yeah, they have no incentive to make anything better.
So like that is my main thing about why I'm super critical, because I don't think you get better stuff unless you are critical. Like for example, this is an easy one, but like if you look at the 3 Wolverine movies that we have, you had Wolverine Origins, which was fucking terrible, and then you had the Wolverine, which was still bad, but they looked at the first one where it was like, let's not do that again, let's try to make it better.
Yeah.
Still failed, and then finally you
had some good scenes,
good scenes, but it wasn't good.
Not good.
But then the only reason you get Logan is because that director and the studio took a risk, and that guy was critical, looked at what they did before in the X-Men movies, and was like, this all sucks, let's make a good Wolverine movie. Looked at the character.
Interesting side note, Logan, same director as The Wolverine.
But he
which
looked
took
at
place
what
in
didn't
Japan.
work and killed it.
But that's crazy that that's the same director.
I know, like he knocked it out of the park.
I mean, I
with
get
Logan.
that, like studio puppet, like I'm making a movie because it's what the studio wants. Now I'm free and I can make the movie I want. I get that, but like it's insane that those are.
To me, that is why those movies are so bad, though. Like the studio has such a control, like over it, that it's like there's so many crazy ass notes where it's just like you can just tell, like because it was Hugh Jackman's last film, and because he had like a lot more leeway, and he took a pay cut to get to be R. Like they had a lot more freedom. Like it's the last one.
A lot of leverage.
So like. It worked so much better when you just trust the creative vision. That movie was so good, like comparatively. So that's what I'm saying is like it's only because people were critical of the first two that you get this product. And if you're not critical and you just enjoy things, that's fine for you. But for people that are very passionate about whatever it is, movies or video games, you have to be if you want something better.
But it should be mentioned that like on our side of it, and maybe this is speaking to something on a personal note, but like I have to try and keep in mind that like those incidents where people feel like they're being attacked, like I need to be able to read that and like back off and like respect that person's like choices and space.
Totally,
like not get so pit bull like on
that's a good point to bring up.
Yeah, no, I apologize to the Snowby guy. Like, so like I tweeted like you're not critical enough on like Mass Effect
and sent a death threat. So
and I sent a death threat. No, but like I did. But then I apologized. I was like, my intention was never to say you can't like something. I just thought you should be more critical and point out the negatives of these things because like you're pointing out only positive things, and I think these things aren't positive.
Nothing will come of that.
Yeah, but like in the same token, it's just like anyone can always like what you like, and I feel like that if you're not critical, then it's like I feel like you don't care about that thing enough, and that's fine. You can just enjoy something, and that's something that like I need to myself. Like it's just I'm so dumbfounded when I talk to people and they're like, I love all the Terminator movies, and like they're like, and I'm just like, all of them? They're just like, and like all of them, and they're just like, I like the Terminator, and I'm just like. And my mind just explodes. My brain just explodes, you know?
To your point that you made earlier, like, I read a script recently that was written by a friend, and I wrote some notes on how it could be better, and I sent it back, and then the next time I saw the person, they were a little, like, miffed at me, and I was like, what's happening? And they were like, so you hated the script? And I really liked it, but I realized that I didn't do what you said you want to work on, which is, like, talk about the... Like, in my head, I delete that part in my head for some reason. I'm like, I liked it. Here are the things that can make it better. And all they saw was like, here's what's wrong with your dumb script. Right. And it's like, that's not at all what I was trying to say.
And that happens a lot. It's really great to put the positive things in there and say, oh, I really enjoyed this part.
100%.
You know.
And they say in any argument, this is what they say, like some therapists say, is like you should always point out the things you agree with first when you're arguing with a person, like the things that you have common, you know, like if you're trying to win a talk about whatever the hot topic is, you find a common ground, you agree on, I agree with you on these points, and then you go into your opinion about the opposite.
I like to leave on a happy note. I mean, you can start off you know, good, bad comments, but at the end, you know, try and throw some positive things in there, make them leave with like, like, oh, I didn't do so bad.
Yeah. But in the end of the day, it's like we like video games. You know, you're not trying. I think there are maybe like a certain group of people that are just always negative. Like there can be really cynical people that are just they hate everything and they're just like everything sucks and everything sucks. But I think there's a difference between being critical. You just have to have a balance of that and remember to point again, like we've said multiple times, point out the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. All right, well, I guess that's episode 1 in the bag. Woo!
Episode 1, all right.
Only 5 hours
Only 5 hours long.
Give us your money.
In the corner, we're going to have, like, all 3 extended...
There's no money.
Extended Lord of the Rings playing, because it's the same length.
And keep fading out.
Keep fading back in.
Hey, we're back for part 9.
So, thank you again for watching.
Thank you.
This was Press Pause Roundtable, and we will be back. This is a bi-weekly show. We will have a different show next week. We're going to come up with new shows. Leave your comments, like, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Anything else?
Thank you, and good night.